Of course fucking not, you dumb fucking bitch. Echolalia will never be Taylor Swift because Echolalia could never be famous like Taylor Swift. She does not have the artistry. She makes ringtones that make me want to puke. If and when she curses us with an album, its only use will be kindling for a fire once the apocalypse hits in a year. But with this, I think there is some credence into analyzing Echolalia's presence as one of the top 3 current rising pop girls. I am not the Swiftologist, and today I decided to take it upon myself to analyze the artistry and lyricism within her recent single, Highballed, which is currently topping the streaming charts. Lord knows why. The track begins with the line, "Bald head, bitch, you're a baldy, egghead serving hunt in Zaldi." With this line, we can determine that Echolalia is referencing the current political climate in America. Bald head, obviously, is in reference to the bald eagle, famously the official bird of the United States of America's government. The egghead in question is in reference to the fact that avian species are oviparous, meaning they lay eggs in order to reproduce, and that within the rise of Christian nationalism's influence on the American government, institutional fascistic control of reproduction and sexual health has been an increasing threat to people currently residing in America. Furthermore, Echolalia's reference of Zaldi, the famed costume designer who has worked with other pop divas including Britney Spears, Katy Perry, and RuPaul, is Filipino-American, and the lyric draws reference to the current administration's increased xenophobia and hostility to all who are not white American citizens. The next line reads, forehead 8, 1630, to head out, shine that shit. Include some basic arithmetic. Currently in America, the public education system is in a historical crisis due to attacks by conservative people who aim to make the vast majority of people dumber than they already are, so they can spew their Nazi rhetoric without repercussion. They glamorize this new reality, hence the line, shine that shit. We move on to the next stanza, which I'm going to read all together as the lines greatly relate to each other. Shiny head lighting ants on fire, committing crimes like the terror of fire, call PETA situation dire, anthill funeral pyre. As we all know, with climate change, there has been an increase in threat and intensity of natural disasters, like forest fires, which recently wreaked havoc on much of the Los Angeles area. Climate change, which has been largely ramped up because of corporate lobbying against climate-conscious reform, is a crime against humanity entirely driven by greed. However, the macro long-term effects of this is ironic. The Earth will be rendered permanently inhabitable to humans, which will result in all money being virtually worthless. Thus, reference to the Terrifier, a shitty shock value torture porn horror movie that has made a shit ton of money, who the director himself said was completely meaningless. The reference to the animal rights institution, PETA, draws attention to the vast majority of leftist people's inability to do anything productive, such as infighting surface level moral dilemmas and occasionally bringing callouts to an extreme level that ultimately harm the very cause they claim they are fighting for, and also harms the people they also claim they are fighting for. They are often loud and ineffective, unlike the Democratic Party, which is quiet and ineffective. I'm looking at you, Nancy Pelosi. Hope your stocks are doing well. Finally, comparing an anthill to a funeral pyre reminds me of the current housing crisis. Anthills famously mark the communal living tenements that ants live in. And just like the way slumlord landlords neglect their own communal housing structures that they immorally own, are metaphorically burning to the ground, with these liches also expecting to not face criticism and instead receive empathy for their loss. Now on to the next stanza. Follicles face cancellation, follicles not in hibernation, follicles dead, devastation, no hair growth, desolation. Obviously, this is in reference to the American economy, which despite having promised a prosperity, the corporation actions increasing focus on the bottom line, continually shoving shit down our throats, not hibernating, and eventually leading to the downfall of current society, which ultimately affects potential adults, children, follicles, potential hair, leaving nothing but desolation in its path. Echolalia was very intentional in making the artistry within the first chunk of the song so political. The political discourse and imagery is providing a backdrop for the more personal revelations and observations we find in the latter sections. We next go on to an interpolation of Tony Basil's song, Hey Mickey. Hey Baldy, you're so bald, you have no hair, hey Baldy. I think the reference to Hey Mickey was very intentional. That song is unapologetically sex positive, and dare I say feminist. With its empowering take on sex, I think Echolalia is directly contrasting this within her lyricism. The baldness here is a metaphor for the contrasting pressures of purity culture and sexual control pushed by the patriarchy. With baldness, there is a common perception of cleanliness, emphasis on a perception, as the existence of hair on the human body isn't in fact dirty. However, in American society, balding is conversely looked down upon. Our society is very ageist, across the board. America has an obsession with youth, while at the same time codifying older people as evil. And this very notion is especially antagonistic towards women and femme-presenting people. Echolalia is calling out the hypocrisy that exists, a desire for both purity and sexuality, a nostalgic view of the past, and eternal youth. Now onto the sole main vocal section of the song. Hey bald, you look so striking with that bowling ball head. Sotheby's could auction that Fabergé noggin. I think Echolalia within this line is continuing to draw attention to the tension within nostalgic ideals. Bowling is largely viewed as an American pastime, which reached peak popularity during the 1960s, a time many feel nostalgic for, which was also heavy with all the bigotry, misogyny, prominent racism, and directly in the midst of the Vietnam War. Despite this common held perception, bowling is very old, with the earliest known reference to it as a sport in ancient Egypt. This is further supported within the next line that brings up Fabergé eggs, exorbitantly expensive decorative eggs created by a Russian jewelry house. And again, Russia, the Cold War, the fear of communism, a fascination with something that is also the subject of feelings of resentment. Later on in this section, Echolalia in one of her ad-libs says, I pledge allegiance to bald, which ties a bow on this sentiment. American people have a tendency to hold an iron grip on their beliefs, even when they make no sense, and are in conflict with themselves. The next section is Echolalia calling out flops. Flops that suck and are, pest on this earth. All powerful white men exerting their power, influencing the disillusioned into choices that ultimately are counterintuitive. They also all suck, and if those powerful people Echolalia mentions chose to kill themselves, and this is just an analysis and is almost 100% not a threat of violence at all, as Echolalia famously hates violence. I'm sure she thinks the world would be much better off, and I feel like she probably thinks shitty, dumb, bigoted people probably should not be in office and should not have podcasts. And I bet she thinks they also all smell bad. Next part. This is when things got extremely personal, almost autobiographical for Echolalia. Throughout the song, the idea of baldness has largely been connected with ideology. And I think so far, Echolalia has been talking about ideology she has negative feelings about. And I think here is when she begins to delve into her own ideology and opinions about gender, about societal pressures, about the queer community at large. I'm talking about the alt-fem she-thems. Obviously, this is about identity. It's about gender, it's about femininity, but not femininity. It's about semi-sheer Capezio black tights that are ripped. It's about chainmail over a lace bralette. It's about Zendaya and that one Met Gala look. You know the one. I'm talking about messy men. Ma'am, this further drives the point home. We're talking ketchup. We're talking wine stains. We're talking OxyClean, Billy Mays, society. Messy, messy, messy men causing fascism. I'm talking about ANTM makeover victims. What is reality? Is it real? Is it fake? I think therefore I am. But what if I'm thinking about the fan fiction My Immortal? Was that real? Probably not. But probably not. It could be real. One thing's for sure, J.K. Rowling is unequivocally the worst. I'm talking about One Punch Man Roger Homer Simpson. Saitama the superhero, Roger the alien, Homer Simpson the married man. What do all of these three animated characters have in common? Obviously, they are caricatures of the ideal male specimen. The proverbial Chad, if you will. I'm talking about Ellen Ripley, Alien 3, mothering xenomorphs biologically queen. Motherhood. What is motherhood? Is it Meghan Trainor? Is Meghan Trainor mother? No. Meghan Trainor thinks she's mother, but she's been lied to. Lied to several times. That's why Shea Coulee spread rumors about her. Because the true mothers are Shea Coulee, ContraPoints, and you. And by you, I don't actually mean you, the viewer, you dumb, stupid fucking idiot. I'm pretending I am in conversation with Naomi Watanabe. True mother, motherhood, mothering, mother. I love Taylor Swift. I'm talking about Demi Moore and Of the Substance. Should have won the Oscar. Unfortunately, Sue clutched it. This is no shade to Miss Mikey Madison, though Honora should have ended with bald for bald romancing. Oscar the Grouch. Why would Demi Moore want him? It's because of the Disney company's neglect of the Muppets and the privatization of Sesame Street.
Public education, no longer. We do fascism here, honey.
Yeah, I do have hair. It's because I'm not the one. If I had a bald head, wouldn't need my Wellbutrin.
You heard it here first, folks. Echolalia, top 3 pop diva, is a Scientologist and Tom Cruise's next wife.
Male pattern baldness, alopecia, chemotherapy, egg carton thick as thieves like Katya and Trixie.
Echolalia is the cause of egg inflation and is in cahoots with Russia, Putin, and the cause of the Mattel layoffs, and is also in cahoots with the flop executives.
Monster High does so cunt though. Love Frankie Stein, NB icon.
Hey Baldy, hey Baldy, hey Baldy.
Hey Baldy, 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 hey Baldy.
Stream Torture Poets and like and subscribe.